Well, hello. Good evening on this crazy snowy day. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm glad to see you all here. I wish we could do this in person. I really do. I miss the days when we did that, but safe is good. And I'm just glad you all could make it. If you haven't heard, we have a 2 hour delay again tomorrow. Kind of crazy that they're doing it so early, but it's good. It's so icy out. So, um, hope you all are safe and cozy at home. And join a couple. Somebody still wants to join. Okay, so I'll try to keep this to a little over an hour. I've done this for a long time. It's my 12th year as college and career counselor at El Dorado. So I've done some version of this presentation, ones for juniors and seniors for a long time. And it's usually a little over an hour. And I'm going to be showing some slides and a lot of resources, and I'll let you know how you can find those. If you want to take notes, great. Let me start sharing while I'm talking, see if I can multitask. Let me show this. And so this presentation, the slides will be in the junior classroom. There's an 11th grade Google Classroom for juniors that your students know how to access, and parents are also welcome. So if you haven't joined that, talk to your student about joining the Google Classroom if you'd like, or just ask your student to get that info for you, or you can always email me and I'll let you know how to get into that. But the slides will be there. And there you go. I know some people like to take screenshots and make notes, so awesome, but I'm going to stick it all in there too. And then I'll be showing you the counseling website, which has pretty much everything I ever say. I stick on our counseling website somewhere, so you'll be able to find it. All right, let me just check, make sure. I know you're all being so good with your mics muted and everything, but you're hearing me okay? Maybe somebody let me know.
Can hear you.
Sounding good.
Thank you, thank you. All right. So this is me, and how you can reach me. I'm great with email. You're welcome to call me at my desk phone too at the office. If parents want to make appointments, great. Send me an email, give me a call. I am meeting with parents now that we hit the better percentage of COVID cases. I think we can do more in-person stuff if you want to come in and make an appointment. If not, I do Google Meets or just phone calls. I know juniors have to turn in their cards, and a lot of people have questions about classes for next year and how that relates to college planning and career planning. So I've been talking to a lot of juniors and families lately, and you're welcome to contact me. Students, if you haven't already come and stuck your head in my office, do so. Come find me. You can just ask me if I'm available, and I'm happy to meet with you if I'm free. If not, we'll make an appointment and get you on my schedule. So that is easy. And counseling website I'll be showing you. It has lots of info you'll be wanting to see between now and graduation in 2023. Lots of good stuff. Remind texts. If you didn't get a text from me this afternoon, like mid-afternoon, saying we're still a go for this event, then you are not signed up for my remind texts. Let me just check. Sorry to interrupt myself. Sometimes I have to admit people. Okay, so I did send out a remind text mid-afternoon. If you got it, great. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check the counseling website. On the main page, it explains how to sign up to get remind texts. And I do send out occasional texts to students and parents saying, hey, UNM's coming next week, sign up. Hey, there's a deadline for this scholarship, do this, do that. Try to keep it limited, but I do send out texts if you want to be in on that. There's that counseling Google Classroom that we use for information for juniors, and that will roll over to next year as when they're seniors. And then hopefully you're getting emails from Principal Burrows. He sent out one for me this afternoon saying we're still a go for this event. So if you don't know what I'm talking about and you're not getting those emails, give Miss Fabian an email. Contact her. She's the 11th grade secretary, and probably just in our system we have your email address wrong, or it's out of date, or we don't have an address for you. But we do send out a lot of emails that you'll want to get in on. We do social media, Instagram, Twitter, if you want to be in on that. All right, let me start off by saying here, before we launch into this slide, some of the stuff I'm going to cover tonight. How to find colleges and research them, how to apply to colleges, what's the whole time frame for that, how to find scholarships, how to apply for financial aid from colleges and government, how to do career research, and then there are also programs for students who aren't into the whole traditional college thing. Lots of trades, apprenticeships, other opportunities that are not sort of the traditional college route. So I'll cover all of those things, and wanted to start off, before I forget to tell you all about this, I really want to promote these opportunities coming up very soon that are open to juniors. So sometimes you have to wait till senior year to apply for scholarships, but these are ones juniors can do right now. There's an essay contest. It's due next week, whenever February 11th is, I think next Friday. I have had several students win this. It's $2,500, which is a really good chunk of change that'll help you in college buy books, pay for fees. It's really good. And you just write an essay about optimism, because it's for the Optimist Club. And the details are on the counseling website. I'll show you how to find it. But I haven't had anyone apply yet. And in past years, we have had people win. So want to make a push for that. Then the Optimist Club also partners with us for a $2,500 speech contest. And it's coming up crazy super quick because we didn't know if they could do it or not. They've reserved a place off campus to be able to do the speech contest because we didn't know if we could host it. And so I have had students win this one too. If you're willing to get up and make a speech about optimism, it's brief and they're very specific instructions. You could win $2,500. I had a junior win it last year. And you have to get me the application form by next Monday. And then you actually perform the speech next Thursday. So it's a little short, but if you're good at public speaking, if you're willing to give it a try, I hope you'll check that out. And so we can talk about that if you want to contact me for either of those, but all the info is on the counseling website too. West Point. So there's a group of alumni who went to West Point, and they sponsor an annual luncheon at a hotel here in town, and they welcome juniors, high achieving juniors, up to 5 from our school, who might be interested in hearing about West Point and military academies. It's not for everyone, but it's an incredible opportunity to consider applying to a military academy like West Point. And so they want to meet with some really fabulous juniors. You don't have to be in ROTC. You don't have to definitely want to attend West Point, but they're looking for people who want to be at that luncheon. The luncheon is February 16th, and I'll be there. Excuse me, we have one junior who signed up. If this sounds like something for you or your student, just send me an email and say, I'll let you know more about the West Point thing, and how you would just apply for that. Here's a scholarship opportunity for juniors due in April. If you're going to go into a STEM field, you don't have to be looking to do aerospace engineering, but it is sponsored by an aerospace corporation in town. And it's for any junior who wants to pursue a STEM field. So science, technology, engineering, math. It's a $5,000 scholarship that they save for you for college, and a mentorship. So they want you applying as a junior. And then if you're looking for someone to mentor you, to go into a field like I just described, they will hook you up with a mentor. So it's a really cool program, and one junior in APS could win that. So um, let me know if you're interested in that, and I'll show you on the counseling website how to apply. Jiffy Lube, I'm going to show you that later. Let me come back to that. And then there's a scholarship called Quest Bridge that only juniors can apply for by March. And this is a full ride scholarship to an elite college if you fall into the magic category of being a very high achieving student with great grades and what they're considering low income. So, and it's college is not spelled collage. I'm sorry about the typo. Questbridge is really fantastic. I had a student go to Stanford on a full ride because of this program. So if you think you or your student fits into this category, I want to talk to you about that. So these are some very specific junior things to just throw out there for you, and then I'll show you how to apply. Next thing, juniors sometimes I meet with my seniors when they're working on college applications in the fall, and they're kind of shocked. They think they have maybe sort of magically some extra time to get their GPA up. They think like, well, but I'm doing really well in my senior classes. You know what? Your transcript shows, it doesn't show your 6-week grades or your updates like that. It only shows semester grades and then a cumulative GPA, which is what the colleges want to see, your cumulative GPA from all your semesters in high school. And usually college applications are due in the fall or early winter. So your transcript is probably going to look like it's going to look when you finish out this school year. And, excuse me, if you need to take care of business, retake some classes. Did you have a rough time during the pandemic, during virtual learning? Do you have some classes you've been meaning to retake? There's not magic time next year. There may not be some magic time. So think about that. Talk to your counselor if you need to make up classes this semester or bring your grades up. This summer, there's summer school if that needs to happen. But you're going to want your GPA to be as beautiful as it can be when you launch into next fall. Okay. And then junior teachers are the ones who are going to know you really well when you need recommendation letters next year. Keep that in mind as you're finishing out this school year. Connect with your teachers, think that these may be the people that you're contacting next year to ask for a recommendation. So just some things that I don't want to surprise you about when you hit next year. Okay. On the counseling website, which I'll show you, there are some lists that can be helpful as you finish out junior year and head into senior year. There's to-do lists that kind of keep you on track, and then college prep grade by grade. So I'll show you how to find all of those. I'm just checking we're good on this screen. Okay. All right. So sometimes students know exactly where they want to go to college. Sometimes they're absolutely decided, and that takes the stress out of it, and fabulous. But I'm telling you that the majority of students still have no idea. They have a lot of options open. They haven't figured it out. They're thinking maybe in state, maybe out of state. I don't know where I can get in. I don't know what I can afford. So we'll talk about how to find schools, and just know that this is the perfect timing midway through junior year to be doing your research and trying to narrow down maybe what's a good fit for you. So, what is non-negotiable for you? Size is a huge part of things. So I've had students who say, I'm going to go to Arizona State, and totally sounds great. My sister went there. I'm heading there. And then they get there and they realize it's like 50,000 students, and that's not the vibe that they're looking for. It's too big. They feel small. They feel lost. They haven't found their people. Not to say that it's not a fantastic school and the perfect fit for somebody, but what if, you got to know yourself. Would you be more comfortable at a school with 3,000 people or 2,000 people or 20,000. Really do look at that when you're researching schools and don't find yourself someplace where you're not comfortable. I went to college at a school called Brandeis University, which is just outside of Boston. And it was about 3,000 students, maybe 3,500. That's really small. You know, by senior year, I felt like I had seen all the faces and met a lot of the people. And it was a wonderful place for me. But looking back, I might have preferred a bigger school and a wider variety of people. So think about that. How far away from home do you want to go? Do you want to stay in Albuquerque? Do you want to stay in New Mexico? You're ready to get out of Dodge and go far away? Think about that honestly. I've talked with a lot of students who've changed, after the pandemic, like thought I wanted to go away, but away feels really far right now. Or heck yeah, I want to go far away. California is my dream place, or I'm looking all over the country. Great. There's thousands of colleges to choose from. So um, the cost, of course, that's huge. I could have put that number one, but you'll figure it out. What you're going to do is you're going to apply to the schools that appeal to you, right? You're going to find your schools that seem like they might be a good fit, and maybe you could have a chance of getting in, and ignore the price for now. There's colleges, private schools that are upwards of $85,000 a year. I know it's crazy prices, but a lot of those private schools also have a lot of scholarship money to give. They have endowments, they have alumni who give them money. And sometimes if you apply and you qualify for scholarships, some of those super pricey schools end up coming in below what some public institutions can offer you. So I've had students and families really surprised, like, wow, one sibling went to, a public college out of state and paid 35,000 a year to 50,000 a year. And you can go to college for much cheaper than that. So don't let me scare you with that, but I'm just picking a number. And then another sibling goes to a private school, sticker price was 85,000, but when all the scholarships were said and done, it comes in below what the public school was. So please don't let the cost scare you away if it's a school that really appeals to you. And every college has on their website a calculator it's a requirement that they have to have a cost calculator on their financial aid page. And you can type in and see if you can estimate what it would actually cost to go there, but you won't really know until next year what scholarships you're going to get. So that's my little spiel about cost. Don't let it scare you. As you're looking at the colleges, do they have the programs you want, the right majors? I know a lot of students do change their major, but all you can do is your best shot at what you think you want to study and make sure they offer that, or that it's a broad enough curriculum that they have a lot of choices for you and you'll be able to find a major that you like. Do they have the campus activities that you're looking for? And just ultimately, you want it to be a really good fit for you. It's not for anybody else, right? You're doing this for you, and it's going to be the biggest or one of the biggest decisions in your young life. And do the research, take the time to make sure you feel it's the right place for you to be. Places to do college research on the counseling website. There's a whole page about college resources and searches. I'll show you that. But we also have college visits listed, colleges that come to our campus to meet with students, and I'll show you that. And there are college fairs. Frequently, there are virtual college fairs that I'll post if I know about them. And then every fall, the biggest college fair in New Mexico is at the Convention Center. And I help organize that. We even got to do it this past year, even though it was limited for COVID. But hopefully next fall, in probably September, I'll be announcing a big college fair if we get to do it. And then colleges all come to our campus. Let me jump and show you some of the resources on the counseling website and switch over to that real quick. Okay. Don't really know how much you can see, but I'll try to make it as visible as possible. So this is the main page of the El Dorado Counseling website. This is how you can find who your counselor is, students, and how to contact us. Lots of resources. And on the left side here, these are all different pages. So I'll be showing you some of these. And here's where I post events that are happening, usually around town or in New Mexico, or things that I want to promote. And then here's what I'm talking about with the colleges that are coming to visit. Juniors are welcome to sign up. I know a lot of you juniors came in the fall when the colleges were making the rounds, and they're coming back now. We were waiting to see if they could be allowed on campus. But what this is college reps from the admissions department just come. We put them in a room, and I send passes for students who sign themselves up, and you come and you meet with the admissions folks, and they'll talk about their programs and their scholarships and admissions. And it's a really good way to do some research. So Texas Tech, one of our very popular schools, they'll be here next week on Tuesday. They're here during, I guess that's fourth period, and then through the lunch period. So you can sign yourself up. I'll send you a pass during fourth as a reminder. And if you can't get out of class, at least just pop in at lunchtime. You'll click here and get to a Google form where you sign yourself up. We got New Mexico Tech coming the following day at lunch, and they're wonderful and offer great scholarships. We have New Mexico State coming. I'm going to set a date for them later in February to talk to juniors, and you can sign up right now, and I'll just let you know when the date happens. And then UNM is coming on the 17th at lunch. And also Western in Silver City, really small New Mexico college. They'll be coming later in February. And I get people contacting me every day. Colleges love El Dorado students. They love us. We have a great reputation. And before COVID, we had like 30, 35 schools a year coming and visiting us. They were on campus all the time. We'll see if that builds back up. But that's what we have for now, and it's easy to sign yourself up. And then every one of these pages here, I don't have time to show, but let me show you the college resources page. This is where you can find online searches for, did that go right? Yeah. So these are search tools where you can say, let's just try one. You can say, I know I want to go out of state, and I've narrowed it down to certain parts of the country. And I've figured out that I want a medium-sized school, and I want to be able to study nursing. And so you can narrow it down and do a college search. Here's just one example of many resources. Oh, look at that. College Board wants you juniors to start signing up for scholarships. So you can do that. College Board, they're the lovely people who make the PSAT and AP tests and the SAT, and they do a lot of this kind of stuff too, resources, scholarships. So students, you may want to check out your College Board account and start applying for scholarships in there and do searches like this. There are lots of other, let me share the right page. Okay. Oh, I don't think it ever went to the college. I was trying to show you this College Board site. I'm not sure it ever went to that. Sorry. But there are many, many resources. There are books that I love. In counseling, we have old school books that students are welcome to come borrow, where you can read about colleges if you'd rather not do it online. But lots of resources here for you to check out. What if you're going to go on a college visit? What are you supposed to ask if you go on a tour? These are colleges that change lives, which are really specialized schools that students love, and you might not know about them. They might sort of fly under the radar, but if you're looking for something unique and different, check out this. And just a whole lot of resources here. On the left, hope I'm showing you the right thing. Yeah. On the left are more links to, this is what I mentioned, college preparation by grade. So you can get in there and it'll say junior year, spring semester, what am I supposed to be doing? You know, as far as testing and college research and applying for, um, starting to apply for scholarships and researching things. So you can find a lot of info on there. And then let's go back. Okay. I was telling you about remind texts, and just one more quick little thing to scroll down on this main page. If you haven't signed up for the texts yet, this is where you can find the instructions for the class of 2023. So there's that. Let me go back to this guy. And WUI website, I definitely want to show you that too. So let me jump to that. I could kind of talk about this for a long time, but I'm trying to keep it quick. So if you like what you hear about this and you want to find it and research it, you can just Google WUE, WUI, or on the counseling website under my scholarship page, there's a link to this WUI. These are colleges in Western states that give New Mexicans a sweet discount on tuition. It's an average of about $10,000 a year savings. So I'll give you an example. So there's 160 schools. The states that they're in are, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make you dizzy here. Let's go to the savings finder. So it's pretty much every place north and west of us. So Texas is not in it, but Colorado is, Arizona is, everywhere to the north and west. We've got California, Hawaii. I just had a student graduate from the University of Alaska at Fairbanks, saving, I think, $13,000 a year on this. And we have had students go to Hawaii and far away. So just because you're a member of you're a student in New Mexico and New Mexico is a member of this consortium called the WUI, you potentially qualify for what they call 150% of resident tuition. So a lot of folks know that it's usually cheaper to stay in your own state to go to college, especially if you're talking about public institutions. You'll get cheaper tuition if you're an in-state person. But WUI gives you, they won't give you in-state tuition like they'd give to a California student, but they'll give you 150% of the California tuition as an example. And it's sorry, I'm making it confusing, but it's way cheaper than paying out of state tuition for an out of state school, is what I'm trying to say. So, just as a quick example, and then you can play around with this website, here are the states. And I have had students go successfully to schools in almost all of these places, except Guam. I don't think we've had Guam. And you can select by state that you're interested in. You can narrow it down over here by major. Trying to make that go away. Let's say we're going to do Colorado. Now, of course, it's freezing up. I don't know. It's freezing on me. I'm going to try to just show you something. The student that I talked about who went to Fairbanks. Let's just quickly take a peek at how that works. All right. So in the little blue thing, you see she saved $13,000 a year times 4 years by getting this rate. And Alaska student would have paid $7,000 a year. A typical New Mexico student out of state would have paid 24,000 a year, but the WUI drops it down to 13 and change. It just covers a portion of tuition. This doesn't cover room and board. But some students find that it's super helpful and they're able to stack other scholarships on top of it sometimes. And so if you do want to go out of state, and if you're thinking you like the Western US and the Southwest, take a peek at this and see if some of these are good options for you. And what I'll say is, how do you get it? Sometimes you just have to be from New Mexico, and they see your application when you apply to that college in the fall. They'll see that you're from New Mexico, and they'll offer you this discount. A lot of schools do that. Some are more selective. Colorado State is a good example. In Fort Collins, Colorado, it's really popular with our students. Beautiful school, great school. You have to have a very specific GPA to be able to get the WUI there. So do some research on that website, see if it's for you, and maybe that becomes a part of your list of colleges. Or you got some in-state schools, you got some out-of-state schools, you got some WUI schools, and then you see where all the chips fall when you do your applications. Okay. Here's my little trivia fact of the night. What exactly is the difference between those two words, college and university? So a college offers only undergrad degrees, like you get your bachelor's in 4 years or your associates in 2 years, and they can't call themselves a university unless they offer graduate programs on their campus, like master's degree, PhD, law school, med school, other advanced degrees. So just a little fact. Let's make sure we're here. Yep. So New Mexico schools, they will all come visit us. The juniors will remember that this fall there was a little outdoor fair one day in the courtyard, and all the New Mexico colleges were there with info, and some out-of-state schools joined us. We'll try and do that again in the fall. And the colleges, like colleges' applications are always on their websites, but the New Mexico schools come and visit us, and they typically bring some old school applications. It's very easy to apply to our in-state schools, and they'll often just bring the little simple paper apps and let students stand there right at the table and fill it out. So you could be done applying to college right there. Probably it'll be in September, October at the latest, and they all will waive their application fees if you do apply right then and there. Sometimes it's up to $25 for an application fee in New Mexico. So you can plan on applying there, even if you're planning on applying to out-of-state school students and you want to go away. At least apply to one in-state school for sure, because it's just smart to do, and it's going to be free and easy to do. If you don't want to do it when they come to the college fair, just go to their website. It's so easy. None of our New Mexico schools ask for a college essay or a teacher recommendation. It's just you fill out their form. You have to list the classes you're taking senior year. They usually have you self-report your GPA. And then the next step that you do is you go to a website called Parchment. And I'll show you if I have time, but I'll be promoting it a lot senior year. You just create a free account on Parchment, and you sign up to send your transcript to any college. And that's free to do. And then it's your official transcript, and that's what the colleges want. So UNM, State, Tech, all of our in-state schools, once they get your simple application and your transcript, they'll admit you. It's so easy. You'll hear within 1 to 3 weeks, you'll know if you're in. And so that's really nice and simple. ACT and SAT scores, we're going to come back to that because it's a whole ball of wax that we'll talk about in just a minute. But that's the basics of in-state applications. It'll be next fall. It'll be super easy, application and transcript, and that's probably all it's going to be. Oh, and then check your email. So I have students come in my office all day long, seniors. I applied to UNM 2 weeks ago and I haven't heard, and all my friends heard. You know what? Have you checked your email? Oh, okay. So colleges do email you. You're going to want to apply using your personal email address instead of your APS Gmail, okay? And do check that regularly. So for COVID, things changed. Colleges started limiting their visits on campus. And I'm going to encourage you to go visit as many campuses as you can. Um, they are doing in-person visits. You just want to check on their website, see if you have to sign up in advance and if they're limiting it to a certain number of people. But you should be able to go visit schools. If you can't get there or it's far away, all colleges have virtual tours on their websites. And then you can even miss school if you want to. You can get an Eagle absence for going on a college visit. So our 12th grade secretary has a form you fill out. Just go get it in advance. Your teachers have to sign off on it, and your parent signs off. And then if you're going to go on a college tour, you can miss school. Test optional. So I want you to check the websites of the colleges of your choice that you're considering applying to. Stay on top of it, students, next year to see what their policy is for testing. I mean, ACT and SAT. So back in the day, before COVID, almost every school required either the ACT or the SAT, and it was a big part of admissions and scholarships. And then when COVID hit and students couldn't even get in to take the tests because they were all canceled, colleges had to adapt, and they created this term called test optional. And they told students, great, if you can take the tests and send us the scores, great. If you can't, that's fine. We understand. We'll judge you on other factors, you know? And even though now the tests are up and running and people can sign up and get in to take an ACT or an SAT, a lot of colleges have decided they like the whole test optional thing, and they're redeciding year by year if they're going to keep it or not. They're deciding, hey, we kind of like this. I get emails every day from colleges across the country saying, we've decided to continue being test optional through 2023 or 2024 sometimes. So you have to stay on top of it and see what each school requires. And I'm going to talk more about, you're all going to take the SAT this spring. All juniors are going to have at least one SAT. So you'll have that. We'll talk about that. But what does it mean to be test optional? Schools are truly serious about it. If you don't send your scores, they're going to assume that you have a reason for that. Either you couldn't take a test, you don't do well on tests, you tested but you weren't thrilled with your scores. Many reasons why a student would choose not to send their scores. If you take the SAT and or the ACT and you're happy with your scores and you think that's what the college, that's sort of fits into the median score of what the college might be looking for, you may very well want to send those scores. They could help you. But take the colleges seriously if they say they're test optional, and don't stress out about it if you don't want to send your scores. All right, I'll say a little more about that later, but ACT and SAT, CNM, community colleges, all community colleges, they never require those. So keep that in mind. And then New Mexico Highlands up in Las Vegas, they are a 4-year college, but they have never required ACT or SAT. So that's just one that's good to know about. The CNM option. So it's really popular. Students know about this term, prereqs. You can go to a school like CNM for up to 2 years and take your required typical college courses. CNM is a wonderful school with many different majors and programs and associate's degrees and certificates. And the advisor there will work to help you if your plan is to transfer to a 4-year school. So a lot of my students do that. CNM and UNM, for example, work really closely together. They have a whole department that's just all about transferring between the two schools. Some students really find CNM is less overwhelming for them. Smaller classes, they get to know their professors. You don't have to mess with the ACT or SAT. And so that is a popular option. I'll talk about scholarships, which I have on there. I'll talk about that later. I think I'm going to skip over this for now. We talked about transcripts. I mentioned this website called Parchment, where you're going to fill out a profile and send your transcripts. There are some exceptions. I'll show you a website called the Common Application. And there's another one called coalition application. For you students who are going to be applying to a lot of out-of-state schools, or at least a few, these are websites that allow you to sort of kill a bunch of birds with one stone. Many colleges partner with them to just do one application. So I'll show it to you. It'll be easier if I show it to you in just a sec. But in those cases, if you're applying to schools through these, then you do your official transcript on these applications directly instead of through Parchment. So we can cross that bridge when we come to it next year. Your final transcript. So May of 2023, when you're graduating, May 1st is what they call College Signing Day across the country. It's the official last day for you to decide where you're going to college. So you have until May 1st, 2023 to make up your mind. And then you'll probably be graduating 2 weeks after that. And you just need to make sure you send your final high school transcript to the college that you decide to go to. So they have proof that you graduated and they can let you enroll in classes the following year. Okay, we'll come back to Common App. Here's some more out-of-state info that's popular. Texas Tech, they have very generous scholarships and they give us in-state tuition, like as a border state kind of a deal. So that saves a lot of money. They're very popular with our students. Same at University of Houston. They do the same in-state tuition deal. So you're saving quite a lot of money. And then they stack scholarships on top of that. There's Fort Lewis in Durango, beautiful. They give us what they call the New Mexico Reciprocal Scholarship. So it's basically like in-state tuition. And if you're a Native American student, they give you free tuition. So that's amazing. And sometimes you can get additional scholarships on top of these, but these are the biggies. NAU in Flagstaff, another gorgeous school that's really popular with our students. They are on that WUI program I showed you. So they already knocked the price down quite a bit. And then they stack scholarships on top of that, $4,000 or $5,000 a year in addition, depending on your GPA. So they're really popular with our students. Adams State over the border into Alamosa, Colorado. They also give us an in-state deal. And then WUI. So these are kind of like the little, popular ones that I know of that are deals. So applying to out-of-state schools. You just want to check with that website of that college and see what they want. Sometimes they just say, click here and apply, and they have their own application, like all of our in-state schools do. And then sometimes they want you to use these common application and coalition application. This is important for you students who are thinking of applying to really competitive schools. Colleges that they have a challenging, admissions rate. They're tough to get into, but maybe it's your dream school and you want every advantage possible to get in. Consider applying what they call early action. And that's just a type of application. It's typically in a November deadline. And you get your application in by then instead of, say, January might be a typical regular decision deadline. So you do it by November. You need your teacher's recommendations. You need me to write you a recommendation. You need everything done. And then the advantage is colleges know that you're really getting your act together and prioritizing their school and applying early. And they like that. And they do this whole admissions round that's early. And you may have an advantage to getting in, as opposed to the much bigger group applying regular decision. So if it's your dream school, think about doing it early. And you'll get your decision earlier, which is also wonderful. There's something called early decision that you want to be careful about. You get your application in early, probably November, but it's binding. So that means that if they admit you on early decision, you're saying, okay, I agree to withdraw all my applications from any other college, and I promise to come to you, Dream College, and I'm committing to you. So it's a big commitment. I had a student a few years ago. Her dream school was Columbia in New York, and she applied early decision, and I gave her all the warnings, but she said, nope, my family can afford it. or we have a plan. I have family support to go. It's my dream school. I don't want to go anywhere else. If they let me in early, I'm good. And that happened for her. And she's there studying film now. So that's a very rare circumstance where all the ducks fall in line to make it, where you feel like you can make that decision. So be super careful about early decision, but early action should be non-binding and definitely to your advantage. Regular decision. Those are typically, every college is different, but they're usually January, sometimes February. And so there's nothing wrong with waiting till then and getting your application in then. It's just the most popular time. So there's a little more competition. But sometimes students want to wait till then. I talked about making your transcript as gorgeous as possible. If your dream school has an application deadline of, say, February 1st, and you really want to wait to get your senior year first semester grades in and bring up your GPA, maybe it's to your advantage to wait till that regular deadline. But you see what works for you. Um, Schools like UNM and all of our in-state schools and many out-of-state schools have something called rolling admissions. Whenever they get your application, they'll process it. They'll give you a decision within a couple of weeks. So that's called rolling admissions. So you have to be just super organized. Find something that works for you. If you're applying to multiple schools, a spreadsheet. I've had students put up a whiteboard in their dining room and they keep track of all of their deadlines for colleges and scholarships and what they need to do. And some people totally have it in their head or on their Google Calendar or whatever it is, but you don't want to miss deadlines and you want to plan out so that you have your best advantages. So show you a super quick look at Common App. Okay, it is a common application that is accepted by, as you see, more than 900 colleges. It has, and you can start it now, juniors. If you want to create an account, you can start it now. You won't really be doing your application until the fall, but you can go in and see what it looks like. You can get some advice. They have a lot of good info on here for students and parents, and family resources. And so say when you narrow down your application, like, yeah, I'm definitely applying to Texas Tech and I'm definitely applying to Arizona State. Let's just pick two popular ones. They're both on Common App. So instead of filling one out on Texas Tech's website and one on ASU's website, you just do this one and you list both of those schools. So it's really worth doing if the schools you want are on here. You can search all colleges, and it has a place on here to write an essay. They give you a bunch of different prompts to choose from, including one prompt that's just make up your own prompt. And I know college essays stress out students. I have books on popular essays that worked well. You can Google essays that were. I'm just saying to get inspiration or to get ideas of what to do and not to do. I proofread a lot of essays for students. Your English teacher will proofread essays for you. Um, just what you want with college essays is to sound like yourself, to not sound like you're trying to be somebody else. You want to sound authentic. We can talk about it next year if you need help with your essays. But on Common App or Coalition App, you do one essay and then you fill out, there's a page about all your activities and your awesome extracurriculars. And then there's places to write all kinds of things, including a place to write explanations, hey, I'm a really good student, but sophomore year when we went virtual, um, it was really hard on me and my grades dropped. There are places to write explanations for things. And students really stress out about applications like this. But what the colleges want is to get to know you. They're trying to have you, show the best part of yourself. So that's what you need to know about Common App. Coalition App is very, very similar, and it just doesn't have as many colleges on it. Okay, just checking that we're still cooking along. All right, I started talking about this essays. Letters of rec. All right. If you're applying to colleges that require letters of recommendation, you want to find a teacher that knows you well and likes you and will say nice things about you. And make sure sometimes certain colleges want recommendations to come from core teachers. They want it to be, you know, you might be super close with your elective teacher and they've like you've been in band since freshman year and Mr. Dubs knows you super well. Great. You can totally ask him for a recommendation. You can ask multiple teachers, but keep in mind that sometimes the college wants core teachers and you'll know that because you're doing your research and you'll find out what they want. Okay. Um, Often there's a counselor recommendation that is required, so I'm happy to write that. I write a lot of them. If you know your counselor, your regular counselor well, and if you want to connect with them, they write letters too, and that's awesome too. So we'll decide on that next year. Um, Definitely give the teacher or counselor at least 3 weeks notice. This is where you get your organization on, get on top of your organization. I get asked a lot of times a couple days before or a week before, and I can't tell you how busy I am, especially during application season. So if you want a good letter, you want to give lots of notice and you want to provide info that will help the person write a good detailed letter. Get a resume together, like a little page of all the schools you're applying to and maybe what your plans are. That would be awesome. The more you can give me and your teachers, the better your letter is going to be. Okay. Mm, just a quick thing. If you sat through all of this with me talking about college applications and you or your student, or maybe another one of your kids, college isn't, traditional college is not going to be their thing. They learn better hands-on. They want to do a trade. They want to be trained and paid to train and then get into a really good career. Our counseling website has a whole page all about apprenticeships and trades and programs at CNM and other trade schools where you can have an amazing career, make great money, and not be in school for like a 4-year bachelor's degree or graduate school. So just want to let you all know there's lots of resources for you. And I have students all the time that do apprenticeships and trades and all kinds of other careers. So that's out there. I did want to say, yeah, we're going to jump into test scores, which is a good one, but I'm going to do one more thing here. All students last year when they were sophomores took a career assessment called U Science. And if you weren't at El Dorado last year or you somehow didn't take this, send me an email and I'll get you a login to do it. But it really doesn't have to do with science. It's just the science of you. It's a career assessment that gives you these little brain games and has you answer a bunch of quizzes. And it does also an interest assessment at the end. And at the end, you get this amazing feedback about careers that you might want to consider. Um, it shows how you think and how you match up with people who are in those careers. And so some students, I've been meeting with juniors, and a lot of students are totally on top of it. They know what their results said. They go back and look at them. They feel like it was helpful. Other students kind of forgot we did it last year and didn't sign back in. And now it's time to think about, oh, what careers and majors should I be thinking of? I have no clue what I want to study. So go to this website. You can just Google U Science login, put in your email. Last year, students, we had you start off with your APS Gmail, but then we prompted you to change it to your personal email. So I'm not sure if you did that step, but try to log in with one of those emails and see if you remember your password. If you don't remember, do the little forget thing and get back into this and look at that really good career advice in there and see if that's helpful. I did it for myself, and the kind of stuff that I learned, I wish I had known when I was in high school or even college. I would have used that feedback. So if you have trouble getting in, just email me or stop in and I'll remind you how to get in. Okay, we talked about test optional. Some colleges you'll find when you check their websites next year, they may still want ACT or SAT, either for admission or to assign you scholarships based on your test scores, usually a combo of your test scores and your GPA. Mm, All colleges that do want test scores, they don't care if you send them the ACT or the SAT. There's no preference. There used to be like a regional preference in the US. Every single college in the country just says, send us one or the other. We don't care. So you want to send whatever's best for you. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. On the counseling website, we do have a testing page with all the dates. ACT and SAT are each given 7 times a year. And then we have a page of test prep, which has tutors that we know of in town and free online test prep and helpful stuff. Fee waivers. If you typically qualify for free lunch or reduced lunch, I want you to contact me and I'll give you a waiver for things like ACT, SAT, college application fees. It brings it down to 0 instead of like 50 or 60 bucks. So don't be shy about asking me for that. Every junior is going to come to school on April 13th, and it's just a SAT school day. You're going to show up for school, take the test, and then I think they're releasing everybody. I don't know the whole schedule, but it's a real SAT. It's a full real SAT that you can choose to send to colleges if you want. You're not committing on April 13th. You're going to sit down, you're going to take it, you're going to do your best. And it's actually a requirement for graduation that you show up and try it. You just have to attempt it. You don't have to get a certain score. Don't stress out about this. But if you are going to be applying to colleges that are competitive and you might want to have your best test scores, I would say prep for this. Do your best to prep and sit down, take it seriously, and see how you do. If you don't love your scores that day, you don't have to send them to any colleges. You can retake it, or you can say, I hate the SAT, I'm switching over to the ACT. Totally your choice. Hang on, let me just jump to this. ACT versus SAT. They are two quite different tests. I mean, they kind of test a lot of the same content. Math usually goes through algebra 2 and trig. But there is algebra and geometry in there and some basic arithmetic. And then there's some version of reading and grammar and English on both tests. And then the ACT is the one that has a science section as well. So ACT has 4 sections. It is faster paced. Students typically say they run out of time or they have to practice a lot. So, which is great. A great practice is practice to get the pacing right because you do have to be quick. There's no penalty on either test for guessing, so you want to just do your best. And if you run out of time, just bubble as fast as you can. We have practice tests in counseling. You can just come grab one or on the counseling website. And again, the ACT is given 7 times a year. It's always on a Saturday. And you sign yourself up, you pay, and you go and take yourself and take it. A lot of juniors are going to do the one that's coming up in April. And there's also a couple summer ones, and there'll be one in September or October. But if you decide that you want to take an ACT, which I think is a great idea, you want to have your scores back so that you're not missing deadlines for college admissions and scholarships, right? So, for example, UNM, you can apply all year long in that rolling admissions way, but December 1st is their scholarship deadline for most of their top level scholarships, the really good ones. And so if they go back to requiring tests next year, right now UNM isn't, but if they go back to that, you're going to want to have your test scores well before December 1st. And test scores take 4 to 6 weeks for the official copies. So I like to tell students, be wrapping up your ACT and SAT if you're retaking them, wrap them up early senior year. Don't be like, oh, I'll take it in December of senior year. That's too late, probably. Okay. You might be saying, okay, ACT has another section. It's faster. It's harder. Why would anyone take that? A lot of times people do prefer it and feel like they do better on the ACT than the SAT. You won't know until you try both. Okay, let's see. I want to see if I wanted to go back for this real quick. Again, you control the reporting. So if you don't love your scores one day that you take it, great, don't send them. Retake it and send the scores from that date. It's like $12 to $16 to send the scores later. Like when you sign up for these tests, they'll say, "Hey, if you sign up now and you select 4 colleges, we'll send those scores when they're ready to those colleges. Just do it now." And you're like, "Wait a minute, I don't know if I want to commit to sending these to colleges. I haven't even seen my scores yet." So just want you to know, you don't have to commit to sending them until you're ready, and then you control that. All right, the last chunk of time we'll talk about paying for college. So, um, some of the types of financial aid. Grants and scholarships are both the ones that you want because you don't have to pay them back. That's wonderful. Work study is when you qualify to get a job on the college campus, and you apply for that by filling out a form that I'm going to show you called a FAFSA, that you use to apply for a lot of types of financial aid. But think about that. Do I want to work when I'm in college? Would I like a campus job? That can help you pay your bills as you're trying to figure out what you can afford. Loans, I never advocate taking out student loans. You've heard nightmare stories about it, but they're there if you need them and you choose to take them out. And sometimes they do work for students. You also qualify for those by filling out this FAFSA that I'll show you. And then I was telling you every college has a net price calculator on their website, and they're supposed to be able to tell you realistically what it would cost to attend their school. So let's look at, we'll talk about scholarships. Hang on one sec. This thing called the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. And it opens every fall on October 1st. And I will be bugging seniors and families to fill it out on October 1st and shortly after that. And every college has their own priority deadline for it. So, like, it opens October 1st, and you can kind of do it anytime your senior year, but you want to try to get it done by the priority deadline of the colleges you're applying to. It's free to fill out. It's not fun. My daughter's a senior in college. I've filled it out for her. It probably takes an hour. You get all your documentation handy. It's all about finances for your family, but it's free to fill out, and they'll prompt you on what you need. And what you all are the class of 2023. So when you fill it out, you're going to be using your family's taxes from 2021. And I know that a lot of people's financial situation has changed during the COVID times, and a lot of people are self-employed and their finances vary. There's all different situations. Colleges all have financial aid departments that are used to talking to students and families all day long. You can submit your FAFSA next fall and with your 2021 taxes, and then you can contact the school and say, "Hey, look, since then I've been laid off, or my job has changed," or they will work with you. So there's help for filling out the FAFSA. I help students. There's virtual help every week. We can get you connected with help on that. And I do want to show you, even though you can't fill out this FAFSA until October of your senior year, there's a practice one that you can do if you want to estimate what your student might be getting next year. So I got to this website by typing in FAFSA forecaster with the number 4, FAFSA forecaster, or just Google, FAFSA estimator. So this won't be completely accurate because it'll probably prompt you to put in 2020 taxes. But if you think your situation is pretty similar this year to next year, you can play around with this. They say it only takes 10 minutes. They're going to prompt you. And then at the end, you'll at least have an idea if your student's going to qualify for grants or possible work study. There are all of these different types of financial aid. I have a link to this on the counseling website, and this is a very helpful website too. Let me see if it's switching over to that. It explains basically how grants work, how loans work, how work study works. And when you fill out this FAFSA next year, sorry, I'm toggling between all these different websites. Give me one sec. When you fill out the actual FAFSA next year, you get your results in like 72 hours. So you'll know if your student qualified for a grant and how much money they should get. Also, when you fill out the FAFSA next year, you'll list up to 10 colleges on there. So you're putting it out there in the fall before you really know what schools you've been admitted to and where you can afford to go, but you just list a bunch of colleges that you're thinking of applying to. And so your FAFSA tax info goes not only to the federal government to see if they can give you some grant money, but it also goes to the colleges you're considering. And then they can assess your family financial situation and let you know if they have scholarship money for you. There are a lot of those private colleges I was telling you with the big endowments that if you fall into a certain financial category, they will assure you that they give you a certain type of very discounted tuition. Really depends on the family, but the most famous grant and the most popular one is called a Pell Grant. And if you do that FAFSA forecaster, you should be able to find out if you're likely for your student to get it. If you're on free or reduced lunch, you will definitely get some version of a Pell Grant. But if you're not, it's still possible. And here, the maximum amount is $6,495 a year for the Pell Grant. If you have no family, let's just say if you have no family income, God forbid nobody's working in your family or you've been laid off, you would probably get this offer, the full $6,495. But there's all sorts of fractions of that Pell Grant amount that you might be offered, or you might be offered none of it. They might say your family makes too much money to get any grant money. But you still want to fill out the FAFSA, even if you think you're not going to get money, because you could potentially qualify for scholarships from the colleges, and they might require that you submit this. Loans if you need them. This is the best place to get loans because it's government backed and they're low interest rates. Government pays the interest while your student is in school. And then those work study jobs that I talked about where you can't even qualify for them unless you fill out the FAFSA. I'm going to stop sharing that screen. Let's go back to this one. So I'll have lots of info for seniors and families next fall about this, but maybe try the practice one and see what you learn. CSS profile. This is if your student applies to private colleges out of state, it's another type of financial aid form that they want all your personal information, your taxes, and some out-of-state colleges require this, or they won't give you any scholarships or financial aid. So when you're doing your applications, check and see if they require the CSS profile and make sure you fill that out next fall, as well as the FAFSA. It's not nearly as common as the FAFSA, but you don't want to mess that up if the school requires it. All right, scholarships. So we talked about need-based scholarships just now. It's based on your family income. Colleges and the government may offer you those. And then there's merit-based scholarships, like your GPA is fabulous. So UNM, as an example, is going to let you apply for their full ride Regents scholarship because you have at least a 3.9 and you're going to fill out this application and maybe you'll get their full ride. That's merit-based. By the way, UNM, they're weird now and they only use your unweighted GPA. That's always like a rude awakening for students. I just want you guys to hear that. Your flat GPA without the weighted grades from AP and honors. So that's what UNM is looking at, by the way. Most other colleges that I know of will happily take your weighted GPA. It's also listed on every college's website what they're looking for. Colleges will give you academic scholarships. I'll explain what the lottery scholarship is for in-state schools. And then just jumping down to the last bullet point, private scholarships, like I just talked about at the beginning. You write an optimist essay, maybe you get 2,500 bucks. Those type. So everyone can apply for those. Doesn't matter your income or your GPA, you just write an essay, right? Or you apply in a certain other way. All right, so back to the lottery scholarship. This people have heard about it. What it is it's a bunch of money. It's basically an account that comes from people buying lottery tickets in New Mexico. And this account was set aside for only students in New Mexico who stay in state and go to college. So the way it works is it doesn't start until your second semester of your freshman year of college, because in that first semester, they want to make sure that you're a serious student and you're not going to squander their money. You have to, in that first semester, you have to sign up for full-time classes. Don't be a part-time student. And you have to earn a 2.5. Not too much to ask, really. That's all you have to do. Then there's no application, no process. You just automatically will be given the lottery scholarship starting your second semester. And it lasts for a total of 7 semesters. And you just have to keep up the 2.5 and the full time. Right now, the lottery, I mean, it's worth different amounts each year. The legislature votes on it. Right now, it's paying full tuition and fees at CNM, and it's paying a really good percentage of tuition and fees at UNM and all of our other 4-year in-state schools. Like UNM right now, the cost of about a semester, cost for classes at UNM for a semester is about $4,000 for a semester, just the cost of classes. The lottery's value right now at UNM is 3,400 bucks. So 3,400 out of 4,000, it's a really good chunk. And hopefully the lottery scholarship will stay really fat and happy next year and the coming years, and it will be worth a good chunk. There's some talk right now in the legislative session about making college free. There's talk about expanding this scholarship that I have on here called the Opportunity Scholarship, which is it can pay full tuition and fees for students depending on your income. The Lobo Promise is something new that UNM started a couple years ago. Also, if you fall into a certain income category, they give you your first freshman year, your freshman year for free. So these are a lot of scholarships you'll find out next year if you're applying to in-state schools. We'll know hopefully what the value of them is going to be. And again, the lottery, you can't get it until you're in college and you're meeting those requirements. If you decide you're going to take a gap year, take time off between high school and college, you have to start college within 16 months of graduation or you can't qualify for the lottery. So that's something to know. And then all of our in-state schools have a first semester scholarship that they offer because lottery doesn't kick in till second. So UNM has something called the Bridge. CNM has the Bridge. New Mexico Tech calls it something else. NMSU calls it something else. But it's possible scholarship money for your student for the first semester as well while they're waiting for the lottery. So for that, you have to meet deadlines in your senior year of high school and make sure you apply and get admitted to the college within the time frame for their first semester scholarship. So that's one of those things I'll bug you about on remind texts, like, hey, don't forget, next week is the last week to apply to college if you want to qualify for a first semester scholarship. Now, there are scholarships that are much higher level than this. If you're applying to our in-state colleges and you have a strong GPA, there are many scholarships that are worth even more than the lottery. And then some schools will stack the lottery on top of an academic scholarship based on your GPA. So check out all the websites, see what they're offering, and stay on top of deadlines for those college scholarships. Kind of went over all of that. this is my last slide, which is great, but I also feel like I skipped over some of the scholarship stuff. So let me quickly run away to our scholarship website, and then I'll run back to my last slide and we'll be close to done. So financial aid. Back to the counseling website, there's a page just called Financial Aid and Scholarships. And this is where I was saying you can find those Optimist um, contests. You can find a lot of other scholarships that juniors can apply for. And these are the ones that, you know, you can take to any college. You can just start applying for these and see what you get. Um, Also here next year, you might want to click here for the FAFSA, the profile, the WUI, and this is some helpful stuff on when you start getting financial aid offers and scholarships if you want to make a spreadsheet to compare them all. This thing takes you to a whole spreadsheet of scholarships. This is that College Board one I said juniors can start applying for. And then I've been keeping this for many years. I try to only keep scholarships on here that have decent odds, or I know students have won them before. So February 10th, this is the Optimist speech contest I mentioned, and I have had students win 2,500 bucks. So here's the application and the details. I know it's really short turnaround, but I hope some people will do it. Optimist essay contest, same thing right here. You're going to write a brief essay, fill out the application, and bring it to me by next Friday. Totally go for it. And then just lots more. And if you start scrolling through this as a junior and you find some that are only open to seniors, great. Just mark your calendar for next year and tell yourself, oh, I'm definitely going back and applying for that one when I'm a senior. Okay. The one that I did want to mention was here, Jiffy Lube. It's due March 8th, and I had a student win 1,500 bucks just last year. And you just write a super short essay, 500 words about what drives you. And we've had lots of people win. So juniors, do that one. And look through here for all kinds of other ones for juniors and seniors. And then on the left, these are called search engines, and you can sign up for any of these. They're legit. They're not going to ask you for your social security number or anything sketchy. You just you give them your email, and they'll start sending you scholarships. So at this point, a lot of students like to create a new email just for college and scholarship stuff. Like make a new Gmail, check it when you're in the mood to do the college scholarship thing. Don't let it get all mixed up in your bajillion other emails that you get from APS, So these are all really interesting and helpful. Here are some great scholarship websites to be aware of. Also on the left, I have these are really excellent full ride scholarships like Gates and Daniels. I'm going quickly because we don't have a lot of time, but just wanted you to know that all this is available right here on the scholarship website from counseling. And then let's go to my last slide was, okay. These are questions that I get a lot, so I'm just throwing this out there. I have a lot of students who love the idea of studying abroad, which is awesome. I did it in college, loved it, amazing experience if you can make it work. Every college has a study abroad program. So, I mean, in office where you go and you talk about what you want to do, what study abroad options are open to you. Every college has that. Sometimes colleges will come and I hear them talking to students and they're like, we have an amazing study abroad program. Yeah, great. But so do almost all colleges. So if you want to plan on studying abroad, you work with your college advisor. They're going to come up with a 4-year plan for you so you can graduate on time. Does your major allow you to go abroad? Will you be able to take the classes you need in another country? Can you go for a full year, maybe just a semester, maybe just a summer? There's so many options. Another thing that students do is national student exchange. So if you end up going to, I'm going to quickly pull up this website. And if you end up going to UNM or New Mexico State, they partner with National Student Exchange. Let me take you to that. And I've had students who, sorry, just give me one sec. Let's share this tab instead. I've had students do this as well as go abroad. And there are partner schools across the country and in Canada. Let me see if it's loading for you. Yeah. So again, this is if you end up at UNM or New Mexico State and you want to go have an adventure for up to a year that's not in another country. These are partner campuses across the country and Canada, and I thought they had a list of all of them. But what the amazing thing is, you pay your inexpensive New Mexico tuition, right? And you pay that to this school wherever you are across the country. You keep your scholarship that you're on and you pay your inexpensive tuition. You do have to come up with room and board. You have to pay whatever additional expenses. But maybe this is a compromise of I stay in state, but I have an adventure out of state for a year. So I wanted you to know about this program. There's schools all around the country, and UNM and New Mexico State do presentations all the time about this. If you're interested in that, you can easily find out about it. The last thing to say is honors colleges. So many of our students are used to being in honors or AP or gifted classes, smaller classes, and they love that vibe. And if you end up at a large public institution where there's maybe 30 to 50,000 students and it feels big, you might consider applying to the honors college. So many schools have them. And this classes, you'll be able to take not all, but some classes that are smaller. You get an honors designation on your diploma, and it's great if you're applying to graduate school. And you get to take some really interesting classes. So that's what honors colleges are all about. So I often have students ask about that. All right, I'm done talking your ear off, and I'm happy to stick around. I thank you so much for your attention. I know it's a lot, and a lot of it will become really clear next fall when it's, deadlines coming up, and I will give you lots of reminders. But